Hey, Autumn Athletes, Larry Sorensen here. And today I'm going to connect with Tom Simek, find out what makes him an Autumn Athlete that's not done yet. Before we get started, remember, if you enjoy our content, please like, subscribe, and ding that bell for notifications. All right, let's kick this thing off. Tom, why don't you start us off with a brief introduction of yourself?
I'm Tom Simek, of course. I'm 72 years old at this time. And I live in Santa Fe, New Mexico. I've been here for a little over 30 years. And I live up in the forest. And I have wife, daughter, two stepsons, two granddaughters. And my career, I've been a home builder for over 45 years. And I love what I do, but I sure like to retire and spend more time training.
Why don't you fill us in a little bit on your athletic history?
I played baseball in first to the eighth grade, and then I didn't do anything in high school. If I wanted a car, if I wanted to buy anything, I had to work for it. So I didn't do sports in high school, and right out of high school, it was during the Vietnam era, and so I joined the Navy. I was in the submarine service, and I spent 6 years there. Now, after the first 4 years partying and everything and put on a lot of weight, I decided that wasn't the way to go. So after that, I went ahead and I started eating healthy, but my training, whatever I did, wasn't consistent like I am now. It was off and on. I did some distance running, played some softball, just sort of a hit and miss thing whenever I wasn't working so much. And then I did do a marathon back when I was 52, and I was playing some softball, and I busted up an ankle and tore a ligament with a little bone chip from the ankle. And after about 4 or 6 months of healing, I tried to run again, and it would swell up on me after a mile. So I quit. I was working, and I was working so much for that 7 years, I wasn't doing anything. And I, again, put on some weight, got up over 180 pounds, and was having some health issues. And my wife and daughter urged me to get a physical. So, being overweight, I had high cholesterol. They said I had osteoporosis, and they also wanted to put me on oxygen. They said I had a severe case of sleep apnea. So I said, well, I'm not doing any of that. I wasn't into taking any medication. And so I just did it with diet and exercise. And fortunately, I stayed consistent. Also, at that time when I changed, I was 59 at the time. And then my daughter told me that she was getting ready to have my granddaughter, and she wanted me around. So I've been a big part of my granddaughter's life. She's been watching me doing track and field. And, when she was just 2 or 3, she'd be up on the podium with me. And, I did some traveling. And then at the age of 4, she started training track and field. But she couldn't compete until she was 5. And now she does the 100, the 200, and the 400 meter. And she inspires me. I'm sure you're aware how hard a 400 meter is.
I am an ex-400 guy, yes.
Oh, yeah. Well, when I was there at the track, and the first time she ran the 400 meters, she was 5 years old. And watching her come into the finish line, the determination on her face. And I said, where does a 5-year-old get that?
Yeah.
And she would beat these 8-year-olds. And so now she's 12 years old, and in New Mexico, she's first in the 400 meter in the state in her age group. And she inspires me just to watch her intensity that she has.
That's
so
excellent.
I get motivation from her, and I just enjoy doing things with her. So, I do, my events in track and field are 50 meter in the senior games, 100 meter, 200 meter, and long jump. Now, I don't get to train a lot, but I do, I work out every morning, do body weight exercises. Sometimes I lift heavy, do some yoga, and I keep my weight down. I watch my diet. You know, being around my granddaughter, you know, when she was 4 years old, you know, I would go watch her. She started gymnastics. And, you know, I was in pretty good shape, and I'd watch her, and it looked like a lot of fun, you know, seeing the other athletes, the gymnasts doing the bars and everything, climbing the rope. And so I asked them if I could play on their equipment. They says, well, no one over 18. We're not insured for anybody over 18. And they said, but there is an obstacle course gym close by. And so after a while, I went ahead and asked my daughter, because they were living in Albuquerque. I'm in Santa Fe. And I went down there quite frequently while my granddaughter was growing up. And so after a couple of weeks, I told my granddaughter, she had a health and fitness club there in Albuquerque, and I'd go there frequently and get into her boot camps and everything. And we went to the obstacle course gym, and you'd walk in. I don't know if you've walked into one of them, but it looked like a big playground. Mm-hmm. Remember when you were a kid, you know, you go to the playground and you have these bars and everything? Well, your mind tells you that you're young, but your body has a different reaction when you get on that. But the guy that owned the gym, this Ninja gym, went ahead and gave me a tour of it, and it looked like fun, you know, doing the salmon ladder and doing a lache, and you know, I could do some of that, not to the extent he could, because he was 25 years younger at the time. And I didn't watch any TV at the time. This was back in 2017, but he had some monitors showing some past episodes of the show, American Ninja Warrior. And it looked like a lot of fun seeing these kids go through these obstacles. And I asked him what that was. He told me, and I said, can anybody get on that show? He said, well, you got to submit an audition video, and you got to have a good story. And I said, well, my story is, I'm old. I was 65 at the time. And I put in an audition video for season 10. But, you know, I had no experience doing it, and it wasn't very good. I put it in about 5 minutes before deadline. And so I didn't get called. So I did it again in 2018 for the 2019 year, which was season 11. And I got the phone call. And that was neat. Getting the phone call, that says, we're inviting you to compete on American Ninja Warrior. I said, yes. I was pretty excited, you know, and you know, I start watching the show. These kids that were doing it, you know, my height, they were 150 and 140 pounds. Mm. And when you're throwing yourself around on these bars, you don't need to weigh 170 pounds. That's what I weighed at the time, about 167 to 170 pounds. Yeah. And so I really start watching my nutrition and watching what I was eating. So I didn't want to do it fast. And so I start losing about half a pound a week, and it amount to about 2 pounds a month. And by the end of the year, I was down to 145 pounds. And probably, you know, I didn't have, you know, I've got a body composition scale. It's not real accurate, but it gives me some idea. And, you know, it's saying I was about 8% body fat. And I felt good. And that also transferred to my track and field, because in 2019 was my best year. It was great. I was able to do the salmon ladder better, you know, being able to lache. So it was a good year, and had a lot of fun. And I continue doing the ninja obstacles.
Before we get into more of, you know, what you're doing today with track and field and Ninja Warrior, I always like to ask folks, you know, if you had any major setbacks. You mentioned a little bit about one there, but have you had any other major setbacks due to injury, illness, what have you, over the years that you had to overcome, and how did you overcome them?
You know, I shared with you one of my events was long jump, and I went ahead and when I started a long jump, I think it was about, I watched somebody at the senior games. He had me video his long jumping, and it looked like a lot of fun. I'd never done it, but I said it looked like a lot of fun. So I start doing it. Well, without practicing or knowing what I'm doing. And So I was long jumping at a competition, and I didn't know how to walk off where you needed to start. I just used to run, and I learned that I had to hit the board. Well, I was coming in, and to hit the board, I jump off my right foot, but apparently I got my steps wrong. So my left foot was hitting the board. So I jumped off my left. And right when I jumped off, I thought everybody heard it when my hamstring went.
Mm.
And I said, son of a gun. And so when I saw that blood pooling up in my knee area, you know, there,
Yeah.
and the guy says, you tore it. You better not race. Because I was thinking about I was racing. And so there I was out for, I don't know, probably 3 or 4 months at least. And all I could do, I didn't, you know, I just took it easy. Of course, like I think I shared with you that I do yoga too, you know, well, I couldn't bend down very far, you know, touching my toes. I kept at it. When I could feel it, I would stop. So I just had to take it easy, but I didn't quit. Whether I needed, you know, it didn't bother me when I did push-ups or some of these other exercises. I kept active in the morning. I didn't want to break my routine. I just was careful about not aggravating the injury. And so it took about 3 or 4 months for it to heal.
And when was that? How long ago was that? 2015.
And then at a race, I think it was in 2016 in Colorado, coming out of the blocks and doing a 50-meter race. I felt a cramp. I came right out of the blocks, and my left calf cramped up on me, and still not mature enough in my competing. And because there was a guy there that I wanted to beat, and I tore my calf muscle. I sprinted all the way down, and just tore it up. And he had to help me back to the starting line to get my bag and everything, because I couldn't walk.
Yeah.
And so another 3 or 4 months of healing.
Yeah.
And then 2020, that I was training at the Ninja Gym because I was getting ready to do another audition video, and I was on the warped wall. And when I went up to try to do the warped wall, I don't know what the heck happened, but I heard a muscle in my calf just pop. And so I was down for the count for another 3 or 4 months.
Yeah.
And I just, you know, I don't break my routine of training. I don't stop. I just be careful not to aggravate the injury. Yeah. So of course I couldn't run. I just wait for it to heal.
Obviously, you had a few things to get past there, but you've also, despite that, had some great accomplishments. So why don't you fill us in on some of your personal best achievements, whether it's track and field, ninja, or anything else for that matter?
I was fortunate that I ran across somebody at one of the track events, I think at the state games the year before or something, that he's a couple of years younger than me, but he was a coach. He was a jump coach at one of the schools, and we start training together a couple times a week on the track. So we were getting ready for the senior games, and I went ahead and I PR'd in my 50-meter at the National Senior Games. I got a silver medal. I couldn't beat Jim Ross. Jim Ross he's good. And I was fortunate Damien wasn't there. And that year, with the athletes that competed that year in 2019 in the 65 to 69 age group, with my time, it was a 7:02. And so I was ranked 3rd in the country. Not that I'm 3rd in the country when the fast athletes do race, but I was really happy with my time. And then I PR'd in my 100-meter, didn't get any medals, and 200-meter I PR'd. But my big thing isn't necessarily winning any of the medals, but getting a PR.
Yeah.
You know, when you compete at this age, you race against yourself, but you need faster people to be next to you to push you.
Yeah.
And then I PR'd in my long jump that year. I had a 4.87 meters, I think it was. And that I was ranked third in the country there with the jumpers that jumped that year. And so I was really happy.
Yeah. Well, and then obviously, you know, you've made it on the show for Ninja Warrior. Have you made it through any rounds, or what would you say was your highlight in the times you've gotten to do that?
Okay, well, the highlight was this year when it aired this year, because I was invited back for season 16, and I was the oldest one on the show that year. They filmed it back at Universal Studios last year. They filmed 2 seasons last year. And so I was in season 16 and they aired it this year. And I made it through the first obstacle. And my big thing was that, of course, when I'm doing this, I wanted to bring attention to track and field more. Because, you know, when you go to our meets, there's not a big crowd, but the ones that compete, they're really in good shape.
Yeah.
Compared to, you know, you go out in the world, people our age aren't in good shape. And I wanted to bring attention to track and field because I love it. It's a lot of fun. You meet a lot of people all over the country, and everybody respects each other because they know what it takes to be out there. On the show, I mean, there's a couple of million viewers of the show, and I was hoping to bring attention. And I was fortunate enough that this year they did do a backstory on me, and they wanted to film me at the Huntsman World Senior Games. And they wanted to make sure my granddaughter was there too, because my granddaughter was a big part of my story. Mm-hmm. And so that was fun.
Guys, let's get to it.
Well, we're going to kick things off with this season's oldest competitor. This is Santa Fe, New Mexico's Tom Simek. He's 70 years old, and as you can see, he's still flexing. This Vietnam veteran is a remarkable all-around athlete, and he's here because his granddaughter convinced him to try the course.
I got through the first obstacle. It was super. It was a great feeling being able to walk up the steps to the second obstacle. I went out on the second obstacle, but you know, it was lache. It was down a wheel to grab another wheel, and I did grab it, but I couldn't hold on.
And the track star handled the pole vault. All right, get over there. Get up. Oh, no, slow down. You gotta get up. Well, come on. Come on. No, oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. Did you see the core strength on that 70-year-old? Come on. This check got through one, and look at that. Oh, his granddaughter's crying. But this is a big ass facing reel to reel. He's going to be 18 feet high, and he'll have to swing over to that second reel.
70 years old. He's already a legend in my book.
Big transfer. Oh, Tom Simek. The 70-year-old grandpa almost pulled off that big move, but he did get through one obstacle, and that put a smile on everyone's face. This crowd is showing their appreciation. He flexed on this course, and his granddaughter's got to be so proud.
They introduce new obstacles all the time. Yeah. And that was one of the new obstacles. But I've done that lache before in the gym. Something not exactly like that, but something like that. Yeah. And so that was fun. And what's really neat is American Ninja Warrior post these runs on their social media, and they just post the run. They didn't post the backstory, but my run on their Instagram page has hit 19 million views. So that's neat. And I'm gonna keep on trying, because I wanted to be the oldest guy to hit that warp wall. So we'll see if they invite me back. Well, we'll see what happens, but I'm not going to stop.
Okay. So obviously you've had successes in kind of very different sports. So we want to know how you do that. So fill us in a little bit on your training regimen and then your approach to diet and nutrition. Kind of how do you keep yourself in this fit condition to be able to do these different activities?
I work out in the morning. I enjoy mornings, and I do mornings because maybe at the end of the day, depending on work or something, I'm just too tired to do anything. So I do it in the morning. At this age, it takes a little while to get warmed up, and but I do about 30 minutes of warm up. I do butt kicks. I move around, and once I feel warmed up enough, I do some you know I do yoga poses, but they're more dynamic stretching. And then when I do that, then I'll work on body weight exercises, push-ups, pull-ups. I've got some Olympic rings hanging in here, and I work on Olympic rings, doing dips, and I'll do handstand push-ups, just anything. And then I'll start lifting heavy. I'll do deadlifts, I'll do squats, I'll do walking lunges. So I just do something every day, and I mix it up. I'll do usually during warm weather, because I live up close to 8,000 feet up here in the mountains in Santa Fe, and I'll go outside and I'll do short sprints. And every now and then when it's cold, I'll travel down into town, and they have an indoor track, and I'll do some sprints there.
So how about your approach to diet and nutrition?
Maybe 85-90%. I'll eat healthy. I don't overeat. Of course, at this age, we can't. I'll get reflux or what have you. So I watch what I eat. My main drink is water. I don't drink any soda or anything. I limit my sugar intake. I'll have sweets every now and then, but for the most part, I limit my sugar intake, limit my salt intake. When I lost the 24 pounds that I told you, when I started cutting, I was keeping a diary of what I was eating. I was using that, I think it's MyFitnessPal.
Mm-hmm.
Before, I was writing it down on paper. I didn't know about MyFitnessPal. My daughter told, Dad, you don't need to do that. Use this app. So I learned how to do that. And after that year, it was a big learning lesson of the way to eat healthy. And I do that. I don't eat a lot of meat. I do from time to time. Just don't overdo things.
So at this point in your life, what motivates you to do this? What motivates you to keep going and driving hard?
Challenges. I love the challenges. I don't say no to probably to anything. And that's what drives my daughter crazy. When I see something, she'll send me maybe video clips or something of somebody doing something. I said, cool, I'm going to try that. So I think the competitive nature in me, and wanted to just see what I can do. And I think that's what pushed me in work, but now it pushes me in athletics, and I enjoy it. You get a rush, just like why I picked sprints. That adrenaline, the speed, I love it.
So you've had great successes and you're still plugging away, but if you could go back and do something a little bit differently in regards to your health and fitness, what would you, and what would that be?
I would have started earlier. I wouldn't have made work such a priority. Because you need balance, and I didn't have balance early on. Now I do. And if I would have started this journey earlier, it's so much fun. And to me, it's easy to make it a habit of working out. You just got to prioritize, and your health is so important because it makes everything better.
You mentioned something about being a sponsored athlete and so forth and so on. Is there anything out there in the social media world where we can find you or follow you with what you're doing?
If you Google my name, Tom Simek, it should come up, or the Tom Simek Ninja Warrior, it should come up with the Senior Planet, that I was a Senior Planet sponsored athlete. I've got a couple of YouTube videos, training videos that I believe is on there, and some blogs that I wrote for Senior Planet. And I think Business Insider interviewed me about a month ago or so. Stuff like that should come up, and you'll be able to find out a little bit more about me.
Well, Tom, I want to thank you so much for joining us today to let us know what makes you an autumn athlete that's not done yet. I'd like to wrap things up by just giving you the floor to give us some final thoughts.
I think we're blessed to have this life, and we need to honor that and take care of it. This is the only body we have. And if you take care of it, it'll take care of you. I know I'm at the end, but I'm going to keep on going as much as possible. And I'm not going to give up. And I enjoy it too much. I want to be around for my granddaughters. And you'll be surprised what this old body can handle.
Well, there you go, folks. Tom Simek, he is definitely an autumn athlete that's not done yet. Remember, keep moving, set your own goals, and train hard to achieve them. Thanks so much for watching, and we will see you next time.
Thank you, Larry.